Hello, everybody. Good evening. Thank you all once again for joining the session. You are open to, share keep your videos open, so that's completely okay. In fact, we would encourage to have a face-to-face discussion, so it's good if we can have your videos on. Just to let you know, before we start the session, just want to let you know that all the participants will be on mute till the end of the session. At the end of the session, we will be having a question and answer where you can put forth your questions to Grandmaster. And, at that point in time, we will unmute all of you. So if there are any questions, please park it. You can put it into the chat section if required, or you can ask those questions at the end. Okay. So today, this is our first session of Life in 64 Squares. It's an open chat session with Grandmaster Stany GA. He is someone who sees the tactics even before we see the board. A very warm welcome to you, Stany. Before we begin the session, I'd like... Yes. Before we begin the session, I'd just like to give a brief introduction of the Grandmaster to all the participants. Grandmaster Stany George Anthony, that's his full name. He is India's 58th Grandmaster and Karnataka's second Grandmaster. He is known for his dynamic and attacking style and his open preparation. In 2012, he became Karnataka's youngest international master. And in December 2018, he completed his final Grandmaster norm and became India's 58th Grandmaster and Karnataka's second only Grandmaster. So it's a phenomenal achievement, and it's a great thing for us to have Stany with us today. He was given the Ekalavya Award by the Karnataka government in 2012. And most importantly, he has served as a second. A second is like an assistant coach for the Indian men's team, which won the bronze at the 44th Chess Academy in Chennai in 2022. And guess who was part of that team? It was none other than Gukesh and Brugs. You know, some people, these are the kind of idols that we have, right? These are people that we adore. So he was an assistant coach or a second for that team, and that team actually won the tournament. Stany is now transitioned to full-time training and mentorship, and he is helping to shape the next generation of champions through his experience and his strategic insight. When I was just looking up Stany's profile on Google, it said Stany is known as Tricky Stany. That's because of his tricky and creative style. And also he often employs traps and unexpected ideas. So let's get some insights and tips and tricks from Tricky Stany. So Stany, the first question, and this is something that has been on my mind for quite some time. You know, 1990s and 2000s were typically years of cricket. That's the time when actually cricket flourished. So why chess? What drew you to chess?
Hello, Jasmine, and hi everyone from the ThinqChess Academy. And my special thanks to the staff for inviting me here. And I look forward to share my experience and whatever knowledge I've gained so far with all the kids here and all the parents. So coming to your first question, why chess? I was asked the exact same question by my school principal when I was around 9 years old. Around that time, I started chess around the age of 8, and I was winning local district championship in the age category and the state level all. And suddenly they started recognizing that this boy is into chess. So my school principal, he was a church priest, and he asked me, like, he was very close to my family, so he one day called me and he asked, why you're playing chess? The cricket, everyone talks about cricket and all, why are you taking chess? So my answer back then was that, father, if you play cricket, football and all, very easy to get hurt. In chess, if I play, there is no problem. At least physically I'll be good, mentally also it keeps me active, so I just like it. That was my answer back then. But to be honest, now that I've played for so many years, I feel it was very organic. I just fell in love with the game, and it kind of some of those things came naturally to me, and the initial success in the state level, district level, and all prompted me to just continue going in chess, and yeah, I never turned back. It just happened. Yeah,
Okay, so it was more not really a choice, I would say. It was more an accident that you happened to pick
exactly.
up chess per se. Okay,
Yes.
okay. But when you started, or maybe when you initially started, did you even think of that's especially when you started winning some games and stuff of that sort at the district and state? Did you even think that you'll be a grandmaster, or was there any driving force down the line to becoming a grandmaster?
There was, but I think I started believing it more after I started getting a bit of exposure. Because when I started initially, I learned chess from the local academy, and my initial coach, he also didn't have that much exposure to the outside tournaments and all. So all he said was, if you want to get into international tournaments, the best way to do it is win district level, qualify for state, and then subsequently national. And if you finish top three in the nationals, you will get the chance to play the Asian or world, all these tournaments. So he said, just focus on this. And that's all I did initially. So my major intention was to win or finish top three in the nationals. I think I started getting to know more about the Grandmaster, the International Master title, and all only once I started playing federated tournaments, open one,
Okay.
where I would notice an IM would play who would be the top seed, or a GM would play and he would win the tournament very convincingly. That's where it started hitting me like, okay, my age category top players are nothing. Like these guys are much, much stronger. So that's where the curiosity began, where I was feeling like, can I reach that level one day? Because to me, even to see them was a privilege back in those days, because the number of grandmasters, even
Yes.
international masters, was very limited. Our state didn't even have one, right? So if you see a
Yes.
grandmaster, the kind of respect they had and the kind of dominating performance they were showing in the tournament was really something that inspired me. So slowly, as I started to play more and I started to see more of them in action, it kind of inspired me to also hope for the same.
Okay, we have some more questions, especially on your experiences with playing against grandmasters and top seeds and all that, but we'll come to those
Mhm,
questions later.
mhm.
Before that, I just wanted to, when somebody does well, okay, so people just say that, okay, they've got a natural talent. Like, when Sachin plays, people say, okay, he's naturally talented, okay. And if someone doesn't do well, there's generally a saying that, okay, the person is not cut out for it. So, when it comes to chess, do you think chess is for everybody, or is it only for the selected few? Do you need to be cut out for it, or is it something that can be learned and you can excel?
I think not only chess, I do believe any sport in general can is made for everyone, provided you have the right mindset to pursue it. Because
Yes.
okay, let's specifically talking about chess. Most of the time when I solve a position, let's say when I'm working with a student and I give them a position which I also am not aware, I randomly pick a position and I show them, and usually they take a lot more time than me solving. So whenever I solve, they will start telling, sir, you are a grandmaster, so what's the big deal? They're like, easy, I mean, you are too good, so obviously you found it much faster. But my logic to them is, when I was born, it wasn't like I born with the title grandmaster, right? I was absolutely zero about this. My family didn't have any idea about chess. Nobody even knows. Even now, my brother only knows to play chess. So
Okay.
there was zero background. So I tell them that I also started from scratch. The kind of illegal moves which they made, I also did when I was young. The kind of queen blunders, the bishop blunders, rook blunders which they did, I was also doing the same. So it took me over the period of consistent work to reach certain point and a certain level. And speaking of whether it's talent or it is hard work, I always believe talent is overrated. And this is a cliched word you will hear, but I firmly believe that, because many people I have seen when even working with students, the students who believe they are talented will not go too far. The students who believe they really work hard,
Okay.
they kind of have more chances to go further compared to somebody who believes in their talent. Because when they believe in talent, they often depend on it rather than hard work, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I feel anybody can pursue chess, anybody can excel at it, provided they have the right mindset and right kind of consistency in their work, and they will certainly reach different levels.
Okay. So even I think I tend to agree with you. It's probably that some people's got a natural talent. Maybe the effort is typically lesser, and maybe they tend to put in that little lesser efforts, whereas a person who is not that very naturally talented will tend to put in that extra efforts, and that definitely pays off somewhere down the line. It may not be instantaneous, but once you
Yes.
cross those hurdles, they tend to
Mm.
make it big. Since we agree that chess is basically for everyone, there's a question which Harivansh Prabhu, one of our participants, they had asked, saying, "What do you believe are the important qualities of a chess player? What are the qualities that they should have?"
See, it's a very general based question. So I would answer the basic qualities which one should have, but it can also differ. To me, the first thing that comes to mind is you should have the interest. Because often what happens, kids will not be interested, but parents may want them to play. So that may not lead long term, right? So the first thing is the player or the kid who is learning should have the good interest. As I said about my own journey, I just naturally was liking those the pieces, the coins, the patterns, all these. Yeah, I just loved it, right? So the first thing is you should have a basic interest towards seeing chess, and that is number one. Number two, be ready to face the loss. I feel in my experience,
Yes.
chess is one of those very rare sport which you can lose on a daily basis. Not any other sport, at least I have not seen, where you can lose on a daily basis. For example, recently there was a tournament where, like World Rapid Blitz and all, if you notice, which is going to happen again, by the way, they will have to play two games
Yes.
each, and there will be like 9 rounds a day. So typically they may have to play 18 rounds. A player can lose all 18 rounds. There is no sport that I know of where a person can lose that many games in one day, and every time you
Okay.
lose, it kind of hurts your ego. No matter how old are you, it can be a 5-year-old kid, they will still cry. It can be a 50-year-old guy,
Yes.
he will also still feel defeated, right? So the ability to take losses and to still continue despite that, so that perseverance is very important. And it is important in every sport, but chess requires a lot more of that. So number one is interest. Number two is perseverance. And number three, I would say, if you want to really go to next level and all, you should have an exposure. Now, as I said, in my own case, if I genuinely believe if I had started playing open tournaments when I was very young to compete with the best or to not limit myself only to age category, I feel I would have improved even faster, right? So if you get exposure and consistently play tournaments, then that would certainly add to your growth. Now, I am not telling here about regular training and all, because if you have interest, you will definitely train. So that is a given thing. So good interest will lead you to good training. Beyond that, you have to have the perseverance and a good exposure where you consistently play tournaments. I think these things, if you match up well, any player would definitely improve.
Yeah, I think when you're saying about exposure, I think the exposure nowadays that the kids are getting or the number of tournaments that are kind of being held, at least in a city like Bangalore, is far more than it
Yeah,
was in the past, I would say. So therefore,
for
opportunities
sure.
are plenty. It's for us to grab those opportunities. Coming back to your own journey, Stany, chess requires a lot of practice. So, roughly, how many hours back then, say when you were 8 years or 10 years, how many hours you used to practice? You come from Shimoga. Shimoga is kind of an intellectual city in a way. People focus on studies a lot. So, how did you balance your studies and chess together?
Yeah. So I will tell you about my daily routine, how I used to, so that all the kids here, students may get a rough idea. So how it used to be was, first of all, my school was very cooperative. They were happy that somebody from the school is winning some sports competition. As you said, it was very rare back then. So they were very happy to, allow me to this tournaments and all. So my regular routine was get up in the morning. My school starts at 10. So my coach's house was very close by to my school. So I would go to his house. My parent would take me there, and around 8 o'clock we start the class. So my coach will generally show me some chess games or some recent thing which happened or any idea. It was more like a group class. The two or three other kids were there. So from 8 to around 9:30 we would work. So that would be around 1.5 hour. And then I would go to school. Now the best thing I did in the school, which I was not very aware then, but I was a good studious kid. So I always
Okay.
wanted to finish my homework within school. So I made sure that there is no extra assignment when I come back home because I wanted to dedicate my time to chess. Now all this comes from
Okay.
genuine interest. So I just
Yes.
whatever free time I would get in school, I would make sure all the homework is completed. I would come back home, and I maybe if any other thing left, or sometimes I relax up till around 5:30. I'd be back home by around 5 o'clock. Up till 5:30, I will take some break, and then around 6 I have to go to academy, where my coach would have a group class. So group class would run for maybe 1.5 hour, and then we would have a blitz
Mhm.
session. All those who would run come to the academy and all, they were allowed to play some casual blitz games and all. That would go for 1 hour. So from that 6 o'clock to 8:30 we would play, and then I would come back, have dinner, and around 10 I would sit with my mom. So my coach would have given me some notes of these chess openings or middle game, some combination, something. So what I will do, my mom will sit with me. If it's an opening, she would read all those notations. I would play them out over
Okay.
the chessboard, and it would go till 12 o'clock. So typically, if you see, I was spending around maybe 6 hours, 5.5 to 6 hours on average during school days. Now, on
Wow.
the weekends, I would certainly the numbers would go a bit more higher, maybe 7 or 8 hours. So I would say for an average kid who aspires to get into serious chess and all, 6 hours is very ideal. Yeah, on weekends you can stretch it a bit more, but in that 6 hours you should focus fully. That is very important. Yeah.
Yes, perfect. Because yeah, I think that also comes from the fact that it's not just the coaching hours are typically limited, right? It may be a 1 hour, 1 or 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever it is in the week. Its balance is what a student or a player would practice when not in the training camp or in the coaching center. That's what
Yeah.
really is the differentiator at the end of the day. And
Right.
since most of the players here are very young players, right? What was the biggest challenge that you faced as a young player? How did you overcome it? Because it's related to a question which Mr. Hitesh Mitran had said that his son has completed the beginner level and is able to win against unrated players, but he's struggling to win against a rated player. I'm sure you would have gone through this. So, what do you have to say about that?
To answer your first question, what is the biggest problem when you're a youngster? Is the comparison. Very often we
Okay.
compare our performance, and it's you cannot stop it. It just this culture or the society is such that it can happen in studies, it can happen in any sport, but in chess the problem is you see them performing on almost every event. It's the same players who are going to come, right? If you have an age category player who is
Yes.
topping that group, he will be playing in every tournament you play. So when I was young, if some tournament is coming up, I would first see the list. Is my competitor here or not? If he's not there, psychologically, I'll feel good about it. But if he's there,
Okay.
I'm like, I will be like, everywhere this guy has to play, he's already winning. Why isn't he stopping playing these tournament? Right? So these kind of thoughts I used to have. One of the best ways to, what I feel is to stop those kind of thought is, first of all, you can compare somebody who is lower than you. At least this was something I myself was doing. So let's
Okay.
say if I am a GM now, okay, yeah, I am a GM. But if I see that was not my ultimate goal, I wanted to become a world champion when I started, right? So often it's
Oh,
still, especially a few years ago when I was actively playing, it used to bother me because I would see that my age category players, very few of them had reached around 2600. 2700. For example, I could say Adiban, Vidit Gujarati, Seturaman.
Yeah.
These are all my age category players who went next level compared to mine, right? So it used to kind of bother me. But at the same time, the relief for me would be to see the ones who were not able to achieve a Grandmaster title or an IM. So I would
Yes.
see if there are 10 players ahead of me, there are 1,000 players who weren't able to match up to my level. So that was always, a relieving thing. But on the other side, when I worked with Ramesh, RB Ramesh, he was telling me this. See, if you want to compare with someone,
Mm.
right? Let's say if you want to tell that I want to become Vishy Anand one day, then you have to make sure that
Yeah.
whatever work Vishy Anand has done, you should be ready to go for such commitment, right? Very easy to say, I want to become world champion. But are you willing to sacrifice whatever pleasures of life, whatever daily,
Yes.
happiness, leave everything aside and still go for that excellence? It's not easy. Very easy to see their success.
Yes.
The kind of effort they put, not easy. So that's the comparison part. So if you feel like your age category players are doing, somebody is doing well, just ensure what is it that he's doing well to perform at such consistency. And also don't compare yourself only to state level players or the district level players.
Yeah.
Try to compare yourself to the best of the players in your age category, right? So I have a student.
Yes.
He's from Singapore. His name is Ishwat Kaushik. You guys can Google later. He holds the record of beating the youngest. He's the youngest player in the world to beat a grandmaster, and he was 8 years old. He did this last
Oh.
year. And off late, in a class, he was telling me he's from Singapore and he has nothing to do with Indian chess. There is an Indian national
Mm.
championship going on, I think somewhere in Uttar Pradesh or somewhere under 11. And the boy keeps
Mm.
track of all those top players playing in India. Now, he doesn't play
Mm.
Indian national championship. He doesn't have to care about them because they were not even of his rating. He is around 2300 now. But he keeps track of
Okay.
2200, 2100 because he feels
Okay.
that whatever good thing they are doing, probably he can learn one or two things from them. So, keeping track of the best of the players and consistently monitoring what is it that they're doing good can certainly help you. Now, the other question, there was one
Yeah.
more question. Yeah, I
Yeah, it's
forgot.
basically, I think it's related to the same. It's basically related to the same thing that the student is winning against unrated, but not winning against
Ah,
rated players. But I think
yeah,
it's kind of
pretty much
answered
same.
with the
Yes.
whole. Yes, it's the same thing. Somewhere it's like rather than comparing with the ecosystem, it's about if we can compare about whether we have grown as a player, whether we have improved or
Hmm.
excelled as a player. I think that itself is a very good benchmark. That's what I personally feel as well.
Right.
See, you would have attended a lot of tournaments, Stanley, and our students here are generally attending a lot of tournaments too. Okay, when there's a major tournament, what does a daily routine look like in the days leading up to that event or on the day of the tournament? How is it like? Maybe so that will give some insights for our participants also to plan accordingly.
Yes. Um, so the kind of tournaments I play are slightly different than the kind of tournaments which I believe they play. So there is a big difference
Yes.
in level, right? So the
Yes.
kind of tournament which I play, usually there'll be more grandmasters. It's a lot more competitive and there will be rating restrictions. So when I play them, my focus will be, or the daily routine will be based on my preparation, which is very important because I want to surprise them. I want to keep things under control. So I will be focusing more on preparation and proper health, fitness. These things for me it requires. But for the young players here, preparation is just one part because often I notice their rating will be comparatively lesser and they will be playing opponent of somebody of similar level. And the kids will
Yeah.
be more like, oh, no, I have to out prepare him. I have to do this. So they get this
The
pressure
pressure
of,
is built. Yes.
pressure about outplaying opponent only in the opening. What they forget is even if you get good opening, you still have a job to do. You got to still outplay them in the
Yes.
middle game, in the end game, all this. So my suggestion is for your daily routine, don't focus only on preparation. Okay, preparation is just a part of it. Keep it limited. Rather, focus on solving more tactics, more calculation, and more important is keep a daily routine. For example, if you let's say tomorrow you have 2 rounds, often when they play they will have double rounds, right? In which case energy really matters. Generally what happens,
Yes.
I have seen many kids who will do well at the start. Maybe first 4 rounds they will do really well, but the second half the whole performance dips. Why? One of the major reason is the energy is gone. All the energy they have will be spent only on the first 4 rounds, right? So
Yes.
one practical solution to that, in your daily during tournament routine, make sure to consume some food, keep up the energy level, and hope to maintain the energy till the ninth round or 11th round. Don't play only for the first 4 rounds. So maintaining energy, a reasonably good preparation, working on tactics and calculation, and if there is more time, you can also read a chess book to develop a habit of that. So a mixture of this would be good, and maintaining it as a routine.
Yes, nowadays some of the tournaments, most of the rapid tournaments is 15 plus 5. So even 5, 7 rounds, 9 rounds is like pretty much consumes the whole day. It's a long stretch that a person has to sit. So I think that's very important that you are keeping your energy levels, and that your active
Yes.
body is an active mind, I would say. So
True.
very important. And I think solving those tactics, solving those puzzles, and focusing on that, I think makes a lot more difference. Um, the next question related to that is that you would have faced a tough opponent. Maybe you know that you're facing a tough opponent. Okay, does your strategy change? Does your preparation change at that point in time?
It used to before, but not anymore. For
Okay.
example, when I was, let's say, a 2200 player, if I play a grandmaster, first of all, it already plays with my mind that I'm playing a stronger player, and I want to make a draw. So this thought comes
Mm.
into my mind.
Okay.
So I don't want to lose. Rather, instead of making a draw, my mindset would be I don't want to lose the game, right? So automatically, when I was playing these grandmaster, what used to happen was they would beat me effortlessly, and I didn't even
Mm.
know where was the mistake. So later, slowly, I found out it was in my approach and it was in my mindset. When I say that I don't
Okay.
want to lose before the game itself, half the battle is gone, lost, right? Slowly, once with experience, I started to go with this mindset that no, these guys also make mistake. I have to play for win.
Mm.
So that positive mentality going for a win against any player is very
Yes.
important, because that impacts your
Yes.
decision. If you're somebody, so I ask my students, sometimes they would say, no, sir, I didn't play for a draw. When they're playing a higher rated, they don't agree.
Okay.
But their decisions, if you notice the move, it would be totally opposite. They would be happy to exchange the pieces. They just want to
Yes.
keep things very simple. So then I will ask them, would you do the same decision against a low rated? And the answer most of
Yeah.
the time would be no. So if you are
Correct.
playing, making a different decision against low rated and a totally different decision against a higher rated, it means you're playing with two different mindset against two players, which is not a good idea.
Correct.
Your mindset should be
Correct.
same against anyone. It can be higher rated or low rated. You got to go for the win from the start. That helps you improve faster than this mindset.
Okay, I think very true, because when the moment you approach a game with the intention of drawing it, you're approaching it with the average mindset. It's not really with a competitive mindset or a winning mindset. So that itself brings the whole the energy into the game. It kind of pulls it down. Uh, a slightly offbeat kind of question. Okay, I've read somewhere saying that Sachin Tendulkar had many superstitions. One of them was he was always wearing his left pad first before batting, uh, so that it gives him some good luck. Did you have any such pre-game rituals or superstitions?
I'm not into the superstitions and all, but I did have one ritual, and I'm sure many players used to would have something or the other. So since I am a Christian, I generally used to read Bible before the game. There would be some of specific quotes that I used to like, which would kind of calm me down. So I would just read the Bible, and of course, I'm very spiritual in that way, especially during the games and all. The spirituality really goes up.
Increases.
So that time,
Okay.
especially when I'm in trouble, I would start praying to God, say all the prayers, everything, which I'm sure many of the kids also here would do.
Yes.
So these things, but apart from that, nothing else.
Okay, fine. So that's good. I think prayers, parents' blessings, and
Yeah,
our efforts. It's a combination of all
exactly.
of it, I would say. Okay. Um, the question next for you is that you are into a game, and this is a situation that most of our players face. Okay. Uh, how do you, what is your thought process before you make a move in a tournament? Because a lot of times we come across when we see our players playing a tournament, playing a game, and then they make a move and then they realize, oh, oops, it's a oops moment. I should have, there was a better move than this, and I made a mistake by going in for this move. Uh, what is that goes in your mind when you when the board is there in front of you when you're playing a game, and how do you decide which should be your next move?
Um, See this thing what you said about the oops moment after making you realize something. I think that generally comes from being very impulsive. And this is
Okay.
very common in young kids. They're very impulsive. We make these decisions out of the first look. We like some move and we just play it. I also used to do
Yes.
the same. Slowly, I realized this that at one point, what I did was I took my own games of last 1 year and I was trying to find a common pattern. Okay. And one thing I would notice is the same one which you said. I would make a move, I would have made something. Immediately after making, I will notice it was a mistake. And that was very common in that one particular year. So then I realized
Okay.
at the same time when I was asking my coach about this, he also said this famous quote. I'm sure some of you would have heard this. There is a quote that if you see a good move, wait and think because there could be a better move, right? So he said,
Yes.
whenever you're sure about playing some move, especially you are very excited about, just pause and think. You don't have to do it for every move because you have to balance time also, but there will be some moves during the game where you feel that, okay, this is going to end the game in my favor, right? Those moments, your emotion will be quite high. So make sure you pause a bit and apply this thing. That see if there is any extra alternative. This may be winning, but there could be something even stronger than this. So especially those kind of moments, I would pause. The other thing could be tactical blunder or mistake in calculation. These things and all you can help purely with consistent training. The more you train at home, the better feeling you get for these kind of moves, and it kind of translates in your game.
Okay. But post-COVID especially, everybody is glued to devices. You have the 30-second reels, and it kind of has reduced the patience levels of everybody. So that impulsiveness is there. And chess is definitely a game which kind of inculcates the patience that is required, not just for the game itself, but from a life lesson perspective itself. We have parents actually who are listening to this session. So more for their benefit, okay, as parents of upcoming chess players, how can they help their children? How did your parents support you? Because it's just not about the child or the participant or the player. It's not just about the academy or the tutor who's teaching. It is the entire ecosystem itself, right? Which is required for a player to achieve the next level. So what do you think, what do you think should be a parent's role, uh, and what is the kind of support that you got from your parents?
See, when it comes to parents' role, I feel they will go through the exact same emotion which a player goes through. For example, if the kid loses, they will also feel that loss, right? And the thing is, they cannot do anything about it. So generally, I suggest the parents that they can only mainly do two things. One, get them to good tournaments, make sure they play regular tournaments, the kids, and get them a good trainer or an academy where they're able to regularly train. So these are the two maximum things they can do in terms of service. Now, in terms of the other things apart from these things is motivation factor. Now one good thing my parents did, both of them had no idea about chess, but whenever I lose, they would never talk negative to me, right? Because it comes from the
Okay.
place of sadness. They were feeling more pity about me, so they would not
Okay.
say that. I have seen this with quite a few parents who would get involved. They will start blaming the kid, or they may say, how can you be so stupid? How did you not see this? All these things. But in my case,
Yes.
my parents, since they didn't even know anything about chess, they never bothered. They just said, are you happy? If you are enjoying the experience, that's
Yeah.
good enough. And we will, my dad used to tell this, which is quite funny. So my dad
Yeah.
had no idea about the chess tournaments, abroad tournaments and all. But whenever I would come back home, I used to tell this guy, who is in my age category, he is playing in Spain, he is playing in
Okay.
Europe, and he's increasing a lot of rating. I'm not getting this, all this. So that time
Okay.
financially they were not able to afford, to send me, and it was a very not so common concept. Most of the players would wait to qualify through nationals. Only a handful of players were directly doing that, and I was very jealous of it. So my dad,
Mm.
whenever I would lose a tournament and come back, and I would be like, I lost this much rating. How can I improve all this? My dad's only reaction, don't worry, it's okay. So very soon, whenever I get the fund, I'll send you to Spain. We'll increase the rating and come.
Okay.
Don't worry. So he was very
Okay.
casual about it, and he was very positive, right? Now that kind of helped me all the time. If my parents, let's say, would blame me or something, or would talk negative, it never anyway used to help me. And them not getting involved too much in my chess, let's say, moves or mistakes, that kind of gave me that extra
Yes.
space to talk to myself and correct it. Often what happens, parents think, if I do some correction, if I give some suggestions, it might help. But usually it will have an opposite effect, because from the player's point of view, they will always think, what do the parent know anything about chess? They have no idea.
Yes.
They don't know what I am
Yes.
going through, right? So despite
Yes.
the right intention, if you go and try to suggest something chess related and all, that would be a bad idea according to me. So the best thing you can do, just give them some positive motivation. And worst case scenario, I know there are situations where the kid would have lost in a very silly manner, or they would have played fast and just come out, and it's very frustrating, so giving all their energy whole day, taking them to the tournament, spending money, and they see
Yes.
that the kid really does a careless thing. Very easy to
Yes.
lose your temper and show it on the kid, but generally it will have more negative effect than the positive. So the best thing to do, just as chess teaches patience to the kid, it should teach the patience to the parents also. And you have to look at
Okay.
long term process than short term.
Yes. The pressure that a player is in at a tournament is far higher. And, as somebody who is watching it, still the pressure levels are, of course, you are on the same level when it comes to the results. Okay. Your feelings are the same when it comes to the results. But when you are playing, the kind of pressure that is there for the player is far higher than for a non-player. So I think we have to respect that, because it's not us who are going through, and it's really these young children who are going through this kind of a pressure. So, Stanley, if you could give one piece of advice to every young chess player who is here and who wants to perform well in their next tournament, what would that be?
If it's one piece of advice, my suggestion is focus on the process and the consistency. Because often what happens, we try something, we want to work on tactics, we'll try for 1 month. And if it doesn't pay off, we just straight away move on to something else. We'll start going into endgame, or we move on to some learning opening. Rather, have a proper process in which you know which areas you have to work on, and do it consistently for a period of time. And in my experience, I have not seen a player who has not got a result so far. Any player who focuses
Okay.
on the right process and hits the consistency is bound to get the result. So, provided you
Okay.
have the interest for all this, and it is boring work, guys, always remember, whatever you do, if it's getting monotonous, that is what successful players are doing, right? Daily seeing opening, daily seeing chess, and daily doing it for a period of time is not very easy, and it's not very entertaining. It will be boring at some point, but if you do the same boring stuff over a period of time, that result is more sweeter, right? So till then, you got to keep that patience and hit the consistency.
Yes. Yeah. It's always that grind that you go through, right? That's what you makes
Yes.
you a big makes you a finest player per se. Coming to the game itself, okay, one of our participants, Pranav Kamath, he just wanted to know as to are there any best openings in your opinion to play with black or white, black and white? Which is that won you most of your games?
Um, well, there are many openings, but my suggestion is when you are at the beginners level, actually any opening is fine. You just have to
Okay.
learn to play with the opening principles. But let's assume
Yes.
you reach certain rating level and you have a good experience of playing at least for 1 to 2 years and you're consistently playing, then it's time to shift into some of the mainstream openings. For example, one could be Sicilian, the other could be Royal Pace. Now, these are some of the openings which have stayed the test of time, right? This has been there from the time of Paul Murphy and all the World Championship games. If you see, most of them have played one of these major openings, right? And they are fundamentally sound. And when you play such openings, which are not easy to learn, by the way, but if you put some time and effort, if you learn those nuances, it can help you in any other openings as well, because you will also have a
Okay.
reference point when you play some absolute sidelines. There are players who would like to play knight f3, g3, b3, some random stuff, which is not bad when you're starting, but after some point you will run out of reference point. There's nobody who's playing in the top level, so better to learn the mainstream openings like Sicilian, Royal Pace, Catalan, Queen's Gambit. These are all some of the main lines which everybody plays. So go into some of the major lines to stay in touch with the modern games.
Okay, okay. Uh, as you rightly said, I think when you are initially starting off at a beginner level, I think just play the opening principles. Yes, that's where still, a lot of players do make mistakes, and therefore
Yeah.
that's what actually they tend to lose the game. I think the more important the openings that you just mentioned, okay, the Queen's Gambit or the Sicilian and all that. I think, yeah, I agree. Kind of, you need to get into learning these openings somewhere down the line. Uh, in terms of approaching the openings and the middle games and the end games and all those things, right? Especially when somebody who's studying and trying to, study these openings, study the middle games, study the end games. Do you think the emphasis should be higher on the opening or on the middle or on the end?
Um, that depends totally on the player's level, because the higher level you go, the sole or the majority of the time will be spent on the opening. For example, grandmasters and beyond their level 26, 2700, most of the time they'll be working on opening because they want to get the right start from which they are very confident they'll take it forward, right? But when you are young and you're just getting to learn the game and work on developing your skill, most important thing is to work on tact. If you're tactically very good, you will improve very fast. I can simply give example of players like Pragnananda, Nihal and all. See, when they came into limelight, they were known
Mhm.
for their skill sharpness and their blitz skills, right?
Okay.
Slowly they started performing in some of the major tournament. They created some upsets and all. But at the Indian level and all, when they were playing these tournaments and all, you could see tactically they were very good. And
Okay.
so that's what my suggestion to young players. The first important should be to learn tactics, and then you can work a little bit on basic end games. Opening, try to have some decent repertoire, which is fundamentally good, which can help you navigate certain level. But first, master tactics, improve your skills there, and regularly playing blitz can help you, improve your sharpness there. You should not overdo it, but doesn't mean you should not do it at all. You got to, maintain
Okay.
the balance.
Okay, okay, okay. Blitz kind of is very impulsive in a way that you're playing, right? So therefore, it gives you very little time to actually think. Compared to playing a blitz, do you think using engines to solve puzzles is that a better idea?
By engine to solve puzzles, so
I
can you
mean, you
elaborate?
have it. There are platforms. Sorry, not really engines. There are platforms where you have puzzles to solve tactical positions or apply your tactics as such, right? So, is Blitz better or is solving puzzles? If you have to, rank it, which one do you think is better?
Definitely solving puzzles, because when you are young, and this is one often a dilemma which many players will have. should I do it at this much time, or should I pay priority to solving the problem? Because there can be one problem which can be a torture for you, and you don't know whether to just keep on going at it or just move on. When you are young, the importance should be given to solving the problem, because your brain would love to uncork a new idea. When you solve a problem, it uncorks. So don't limit it with time. But when you are going up as a player, then you have to play around with the time also, because you want to take good decision at less time, right? So at this
Yeah.
age, they have to focus more on solving. This is where actually blitz helps, because they have to spot it instantly and spontaneously, so that can also help. So yeah, the first priority of course is to be given to solving, then you can also collaborate it with blitz and this stuff.
Okay. We are at 7:16 right now. We just want to open the floor for questions if students, if parents have. We will come back to our questions once we've gone through the questions that our participants have. You can either put it into the chat, or yeah, sorry, Kavita, you take it forward.
Yes. So, Stany, I have collated the questions that are coming in on the chat. So, the first
Mhm.
question is from Sunidhi R. Did you ever feel like quitting, and what stopped you from quitting?
Actually, this is funny, because at one point I really thought I'll quit. And if I tell you the tournament name, you will find it very strange. It was state level under 15. So what happened was I was playing from state under 9. From the age of 8, I started. And at some point, I had won all the age categories. Under 9, I had won. Under 11, under 13. Even under 19, I won when I was 11 years old. But under 15 was, something which was elusive to me, and I had not won it before. So there was this one state tournament where I was the top seed, and it was good. All the age category rivals were there, and so I thought I am going to win this. Suddenly, what happens in the first round itself? I play a player from my own district. He still plays. His name is Kishan Ganguly. He's in the blind national champion or something. So he was, but back then he was not a well-known player or anything. He was from my academy. He was more junior to me in terms of experience. So I thought I will easily win against this guy, and I totally underestimated him, and I lost the game. So, in age category, especially state level and all, lot of talks will be going on. So I could hear parents talking, oh my God, Stanley lost. First round itself, he's upset. All these things, and that was playing with my mind. And then subsequently, the third round, I drew against a player who had never even made a draw before. And I had won like 5 games before, and this time I drew. So it was so depressing to me that time that at some point I told my mom, I had called her, and I still remember that time these coins were there. If you want to call somebody, you put a coin and 1 rupee coin and you can call. So I called my mom and I was putting one by one coin, and I was like, totally frustrated, almost crying. I'm like, how am I not winning this? I'm such a good player. All these guys I have beaten. So I'm not able to do. And then I told, okay, actually I've played way too much now. If I cannot win under 15, it will be an insult to me. So even if I not win, it's fine. But if I don't finish top 4 in this tournament, and if I don't qualify for nationals, then I'm going to stop playing chess, because I'm really disappointed. And I really meant it that day. Now I don't know if it had happened whether I would do it or not, but that time I meant it. Fortunately, I finished fourth. Next few rounds I won, and I finished fourth, and then I decided to continue. A few years later, I just found it very silly. Like state under 15, come on, you want to quit chess because you didn't win state under 15, right? But for me, that time it was really important. That's what I feel now. So it depends on your level. And as I said at the start, it's all about perseverance. You will be hit with different kind of losses at every stage. Some now all of you would know World Cup is happening. A player who goes through World Cup, every round can be knocked out. right? For him, that could be end of his career. He may think like, why am I even struggling this much? So at your own level, whatever you're playing, it will mean a lot to you. But remember, you have to play for long term. It cannot be a one tournament or a two tournament. If you play for a long term, you will definitely succeed.
Thank you, Stani. This also answered Ayushman's question, how should we react when we lose a match?
Mhm.
So, moving on, the next question is from Vikas Kumar. His son is 5 years, 7 months old. He wants him to play for India and become the youngest GM of the world. How should he approach to achieve it?
Mm. See, if you ask me, 5-year-old is quite good, very early, but I think from what we have seen of late, many kids are, picking up at very young age, and their thinking is totally different compared to my generation or the many of the parents' generation. So they're very fast, they're very good. But if you're looking at, longer career in chess, especially, world champion, all these things, there are multiple factors which should support it. Number one, from a parent's perspective, it's very important that financially you are looking at some really big investment. If you are looking at world level player, because you will have to fund the big tournaments, you will have to fund their coaching regularly, and it will take a toll on your job also because you got to take them to big tournaments all the time. So if you really want this to happen, then you have to think about all these and then decide. Now, speaking about what and all could help them at least go to that level, first of all, you should notice whether they're genuinely interested and they can spend hours together. One simple indicator is, if you want to know whether your kid is really interested in chess or not, just notice them. If often they go to the chessboard without you telling and open a chess book or do something on computer which is chess related. I'm not talking about playing. Everyone likes to play, they get a high. I'm talking about working on chess. That shows genuine interest. If your kid likes to solve puzzles and consistently, learn some new things, or likes to read a chess book, or likes to interact about chess. There are many kids who love to follow World Cup games, any top level games, follow a particular player, Hikaru or Carlsen. That shows they're having good interest in chess. So you have to first notice whether, these qualities are ticked. If that is there, then as I said, you got to take them to regular training, get a good trainer. An academic can certainly help, cultivate their interest if they regularly play. See, to me, this had a very big impact, positive impact. I told at the start, right? My daily routine would be in the evening, I'll go to academy. After the class, I would play with the local kids. That used to be really fun. And my coach still says that. So he says, whenever I am depressed at a higher level, then he says, if you feel like depressed about chess, think of the days when you are young and you are playing those fun games, right? For you, nothing in the world mattered. You just wanted to beat those young players. You were also young. You wanted to beat your friends. And there was a pleasure in that. That was the reason you picked chess in the first place, right? So that interest, that kind of passion should be really there. And yeah, now to answer, come back to the question, if the kid is really interested and you have the right capacity financially, and you have a good trainer and a good system around it, then definitely they'll make progress, no doubt about it.
Okay. The next is from Johan Neo. He asks, what made you believe in yourself?
As I said, initially, when I was playing, I was winning the district level, state level, and all. I started feeling good about myself. The big motivation factor was when I go to school, I would take trophies all the time. And I was a celebrity in my school. So every assembly, there will be a trophy out in the open, and all the kids know, oh, this become so Stany has won something. So that was a good motivating factor for me, winning local tournaments and all this. But at what age did I really start feeling I'm good at it? Maybe more than the age, it was actually the work. Daily when I'm trying to solve a position, there was certain books which I was trying to solve before, and I could hardly, find the answers. But over the period of time, if I look at the same book, I was, finding the answers like this. And then I try to increase the level of puzzles which I would do, find a good stronger books, and if I do the puzzles convincingly, if my answers I'm hitting the right notes, then I was already feeling good about myself that I can do this. So that work at home consistently and doing it more focused and a good result consistently was giving me more confidence. And of course, if you beat a stronger player in a tournament, and there are many tournaments I can think of at each different level. When I was at 2300 level, I won a tournament where there were quite a few grandmasters. So that made me feel that I can take on grandmasters. And then when I was an IM, I got a GM now. And at some point, I crossed 2500 with only one GM now. So that time I felt okay, I can become a GM, right? So it was different at different junctures. It was different situations, but all this at each point I was feeling more confident. Yeah.
Okay. The next question is from Atharva Pai. For an unrated player, should they focus on memorizing opening?
For an unrated player, is it?
Yeah.
For an unrated player, my suggestion is focus on increasing your tactical sharpness. Opening, just try to have a basic setup and focus on following the opening principles. So I would suggest, if you want to revise some few lines, it's good, but don't overdo it. Your priority should be on the solving tactics and understanding some basic endgames. That could certainly help. So opening, not the best priority at that stage.
Okay, so for that, a follow-up question from Christopher is, how do you remember all the tactics in a game? How do you find time to apply them?
See, tactics, it's more like over the period of time. If you keep on doing the same things again and again. Now think about it. For example, a route from your house to your school, right? If you have traveled there for the same route for 1 year, you will definitely know where the humps are, where the potholes are. Every single thing subconsciously you will just know, right? Why? Because every time, every day on a daily basis, if you keep on traveling the same road, it subconsciously becomes natural thinking to you, right? So for a grandmaster level, see, there is one saying, if you want to be good at something, you may have to do it 10,000 times, right? Now I don't know how true it is, but I think a typical grandmaster would have seen, if I can talk about myself, I see chess on a daily basis, and I have done this for last. I started from 2001, so it's been almost like 25 years. 25 years. If I see chess on a daily basis, I could remember so many patterns without even thinking. I can find the answers, right? So it's more like compound interest. If you keep on doing the same work, at some point you will know many of this. So it's consistent training and experience.
Okay. The next one is from Itesh. Any recommendations for books and YouTube channels?
Books and YouTube channels. Books, there are many actually. I can tell my favorite because the level of plays are totally different. See, one thing, a general book I can suggest you is you can read Vishy Anand's one of the recent books, Mind Master. See, where Anand talks about many general things. What was his challenge? How did he grow up as a chess player? What was his inspiration? These are good book for any player, even if you are unrated. If you don't know anything about chess, also good to read. So that is one common book I would recommend. One of my favorite book is this also would be a nice one. It's called Joys of Chess. There's a book, Joys of Chess, which talks about many unique chess stories. For example, how did they first invent? There is something called endgame studies. I don't know how many of you know. It is not the theoretical regular ending, but more like a composed position where there will be some stalemate trick or some zugzwang trick. There will be something like that, and I'm very fond of it. Now, this book has many stories, which was the first endgame study. So it shows some 12th century one servant of a king. He was apparently a chess player. He found it one first chess composed, at least written in the books, and it has some very fascinating stories. For example, there is a story in which a same position has been played by the same player twice, and he was like a grandmaster in 1950s or something, and it was the exact same opening trap. He fell twice in 19 I think 1945 something, and 1946 again he fell for the same trap. So, falling for the same pit twice. So there are many interesting things like this. I love those kind of stories. So that could be also a very general chess book. Specific one of my favorite is there is a book by Vishy Anand's challenger. His name is Gelfand, Boris Gelfand. That book is Positional Decision Making in Chess. There are other series also, Dynamic Decision, all this. One of my favorite was this Positional Decision Making in Chess, which I found very good for my level. Yeah. Apart from that, yes, YouTube channels. Now, guys, my suggestion is don't overdo it. For example, I know many of my own students, they see some Hikaru Nakamura stream where Nakamura will be showing all this, marks, all the arrow board will be full of arrows, and he will be showing how impressive he is as a calculator. Now, some of my students, so I had one student, I make them update their daily work, and this one student was daily updating 10 hours work. So I was really surprised because you cannot do 10 hours work for a week or two. And then I just, asked him specifically what you're doing. So there is one small section like others I had mentioned where he can put anything else. So he was just putting it as YouTube, YouTube, YouTube. And then I asked what YouTube and how many hours. He's telling some 3 hours Ikaru stream and 1 hour some agad matter videos, all these things, or chess based India interviews. See, these things are good as a popcorn videos, but they're not genuinely going to help. See, if Hikaru shows his caliber, how is it going to help you, right? So my suggestion is, if you ask me which kind of YouTube channel which could be helpful, see, I like chess-based India videos, which are more of analysis-based. They will pick a game and they'll highlight it. This game, what was a critical moment? And there are some recap videos. For example, I follow some of these Agad Matters. Sometimes he puts a nice game from a recent tournament, or Gotham Chess. He puts this highlight of a tournament, some super tournament. What are the important games? Where are the mistakes? These things can genuinely benefit you for your general knowledge, but avoid watching, those streams and all. Those are more like as good as watching any popcorn movie.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Stany, for that. The other question is how to train for the middle game.
That's once again very broad based question, but to come back to the same point, what I said, many of the kids here, I think they're still fighting for their rating, or maybe they have rating, but at the initial stages, right? So in middle game, you have to first focus on the tactical part. Apart from that, learn some basic positional concepts. For example, always watching out for improving your worst place piece, or making sure are all your pieces in a good harmony. Is every piece getting a good work? Focusing on weakness, or focusing on development. All these things. These are basic things, but it can certainly come in handy. Apart from the tactical part, which I said.
Okay. There's a question from Ashmi. When you started playing chess, how interested were you actually when you started?
Mm, when I started playing chess, see, fortunately for me, the first tournament which I played, it was a district open championship in my place, and I won best under 8 player. So that prize was more of a motivating factor for me than the chess. I just like the chess, but I didn't know that you could win prizes like this, right? So that prize winning moment kind of triggered me to do more of chess. When I started doing more of it, I started liking it. Then I would play it. So it became a habit. You do something again and again, you get used to it, right? So yeah, and as I said, my school, every time when I take the trophy, I would feel like a celebrity. Here I would certainly advise to some of the kids. See, when you go to tournament, it's a practical advice, nothing to do with the chess part. When you go to a tournament and if you get a trophy, make sure to take it to the school and show it to the principal or something, because you really want your support from the school. And they're not going to do it if you keep your trophies in home and not even aware that you're a chess player. So make sure you get the reach. So in my school, everyone knew that I was a chess player. Every teachers knew. So after certain point, they felt okay. The boy can handle studies. He's okay with it. Let him play his tournaments and all. So you should also make this convincing part by regularly taking your trophies or whatever accomplishment you have. Keep the school in loop so that you get the right support.
Okay. There's a question from Joanne asking, after winning, would you become overconfident and lose?
I didn't get the like after winning overconfident.
If
I
you
didn't get the
won
exact.
any game, have you become overconfident in a subsequent game and as it resulted in a loss?
Um, that has not happened, but something similar, but in a different way. For example, there are tournaments where I was doing really well and I was beating higher rateds, and then all of a sudden I would get a low rated. Here's where I would get overconfident. If I kept on playing stronger players, I would be more alert. I would think, okay, this match is also a struggle. I have to be in my toes and I have to really make it work. But there are tournaments when I am doing so well, all of a sudden they give me a low rated. There I am like, okay, this game is going to be easy. So that pairing thing kind of plays with my mind, and I have lost quite a few games like that. So I learned my lesson after maybe like 3, 4 experience like that. But that has happened purely because of this rating fact. Otherwise, if I'm getting good players and I'm doing well, I'll generally do well in that tournament.
Okay. And the last question is from Nirvan Singh. What is your thought for balance between logic and emotions? Where logic is of the mind and emotions is of the art. How do you balance both?
It means during the game or
Yes,
during the tournament.
during the game or tournament.
Um, See, logic, I think that that is more to do with the training part. For example, if you want to find a move purely based on the logic and all, it may not apply in that particular moment. You may have to calculate it. So that one something to do with your training part. Whether it is you have to make the decisions based on the logic or absolute calculation or intuitive decision. All this can be developed with more training. The other one, emotional part. Now, emotional part can certainly play with your mind. For example, in a tournament where you're not doing well at all, generally what happens, you are low on confidence, right? And the emotions will be very high. So that time we tend to take decisions which are totally not necessary, and it is we cannot even explain it why. Like it has happened with my own students. Sometimes they play recently only, like 2 days ago, I was analyzing one student's game. She was a very good player. She's from US, so she played some local US tournament, and she scored half out of 4. And in that, she had played 3 low rateds. And when I was analyzing the game, clearly some of the moves were just couldn't explain. She was like, I just don't know why I played this, right? What could be the reason? So the reason was that she hadn't worked. Last 1.5 month, she had hardly worked. So during the game, what happened? The first round, she was completely winning, but she made an easy blunder. And now the culmination of all that, lack of practice and an emotional loss. Now that impacted, and next few games, the moves were horrible, and she just didn't know what to do. So some of those things can happen, and here, to be honest, you cannot do anything. If you are emotionally down and things are not going well at all, the best thing you can do is don't overtry. Because every time what happens, we will think, okay, at least this player is a low rated, so I have to win this game. Rather, a sensible advice is if you know things are not at all going well, just make sure that you don't over push. Even a low rated can give you tougher challenge. So at least keep the game under control. Worst case scenario, go with a draw. So this is a practical advice I can give.
Okay. I think that's
I
it.
think
Jasmine, over to you. Yeah. We're running
okay.
out of time.
So we're running out of time. So just a few rapid fire questions for you, Stany, before we
Mhm.
wind up. If you could change one rule in chess, what would it be?
One rule in chess would be en passant, because it's quite a difficult rule. Even though it logically kind of makes sense, it is quite difficult to understand. So I would say en passant.
Okay. Have you ever blundered a piece and then acted like it was all part of the plan?
Like, I'm not a good actor, so I might have tried, but it has never worked. Not my thing usually.
Okay. Which chess piece best represents your personality?
Chess piece knight, because I'm tricky Stanley.
Okay. And why? Okay. Yeah, you never know where the tricky Stany can be. Right. The last one. If you could play a dream match against any player in history, past or present, who would it be?
Dream match. Um, it would be Carlson, because I feel Carlson, to me, he's the GOAT. Simply because there is a debate whether Kasparov, Carlson, or Fischer, but Carlson has done so well in literally every format. Online, he's good. Bullet, he's good. Blitz, he's good. Fischer, Kasparov, when they played, they were definitely ahead of their times, but the competition was not like today. So if there is a chance, I'd be very happy to play Magnus.
Okay, excellent. I don't have any other rapid fire questions. So we are almost at the end of it. So Grandmaster Stany, your journey from a curious youngster to a grandmaster is proof that passion, persistence, consistency is can take you anywhere. Thank you for sharing a piece of your journey with us today, and it was certainly a great experience to hear from you, know from you firsthand, rather than just reading it up somewhere else, right? So to all our participants, when I first met Grandmaster Stany a couple of months back, I was a little apprehensive because I had never met a Grandmaster before. So it was a first experience for me. But he came across as a very simple and approachable person. And we spent some time actually discussing how we can add value to our students in their chess journey. So this session is an outcome of that discussion. And I hope all of you have gained some valuable insights. Thank you all for joining this session, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you once again, Grandmaster Stany, for being with us.
Thank
Before
you.
we
Thank
wind up,
you,
I think,
everyone. I really enjoyed my session discussing with all of you. And yeah, my best wishes to ThinqChess and all the participants and their parents.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
thank you once again. Thank you. Have a good rest of the day. Good night. Bye-bye.